Have you ever written 5 or 6 lines of code just to create a simple list? What if I told you Python lets you do the same thing in just a single line? That's exactly what list comprehensions are. And today, you learn both list comprehensions and dictionary comprehensions. By the end of this video, you'll be able to replace many for loops with cleaner, shorter, and more readable code. Let's get started. What is a comprehension? A comprehension is a concise way to create a new collection using single line of code. For example, let's say I wanted to create a list. Numbers equals an empty list. Now I want to append numbers from 0 up to 4 in this list. I could do that using a for loop. So if I print numbers, I'm going to have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. I have to write this simple code with 3 lines. What if I told you you could do the same thing on a single line? Let's look at this different way of doing the same problem. Numbers equals square brackets. Now in these square brackets, I specify what I want to exist within the square brackets. So list comprehensions have a simple syntax, which is expression for item in iterable. The expression for item in iterable. So it begins with the expression and then my normal for loop in a concise way. Let's do this. That is my expression. That is what I want to exist in the numbers list. So now the for loop for I in now my iterable, which is range 5. That's it. So I in range 5. So expression for my index in iterable. And let's see what we get for numbers. So we are going to get 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. We could take these all out so that you understand what is going on. So I'm going to have 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So instead of writing 3 lines, we could compress everything into a single line of code. So my list equals open square brackets, expression for index in iterable. And I have my list with everything in it. Okay, so let's look at how to modify values by using these list comprehensions. Now, here, let's say I wanted to create a list of squares of numbers. So if I wanted to create a list of squares of numbers, then for each number in the range, I'm just going to square it, which is raise it to the power of 2. So this is going to give me the first 5 squares of numbers. So if I hit run, I'm going to have 0, 1, 4, 9, and 16. I could do the same thing using list comprehensions. So expression for index in iterable. So if I hit run this time, I'm going to have 0, 1, 4, 9, and 16. I could take this even further by introducing conditions. Now let's say I wanted to input something in my list if a condition is satisfied. So in the old way, we are going to do this. So let's say we just wanted numbers which are multiples of 5. So let's say for I in range 50, we wanted numbers which are multiples of 5. So in that case, we are going to say if I is a multiple of 5, which is if I modulo 5 is 0, then numbers dot append I. Else, we should just keep going. So we could use continue or pass. So let's run this and let's see what happens. So we get 0, 5, 10, 15, all the way to 45. Those are multiples of 5 in this range. Now you realize that as we increase the complexity of our code, we increase the number of lines it takes us to write that code. Let's write this using our list comprehensions. There will be a little modification to the general syntax that we all know. So for the general syntax, we only had expression for index in range, that is in iterable. Iterable in the sense that I could replace range with a list, an actual list, so that I'm going to iterate through that actual list. Okay, so because I want the the multiples of 5, I'm going to say I for I in range 5. Now, for I in range 50, now if I just leave it like this, I'm going to get all the numbers in that range. So I specify if I if I modulo 5 is equal to 0. So if I modulo 5 is equal to 0. So now let's hit run and let's see what we get for numbers. We have 0, 5, 10 all the way to 45. Simple. So instead of writing 6 lines of code, we have achieved the same purpose with 11 lines of code. Initially, our focus was just on getting you to be able to write code to perform a particular task. But now moving further, we'll be focusing on efficiency and using less time and less code to achieve the same task. Another practical example. Now let's say I already had a list of names of people. So we are moving further. So names equals, okay, so let's say I had the names of people. But then we know that normally the names of people are supposed to be written in capital letters. At least the first letter should be in capital letters. But let's say after collecting these names through Google Forms or something, I had them appearing like this in small or lowercase letters. How do I do this? I could decide to look through the list, and for each item in that list, I capitalize it. I could also do something else. I could decide to, let's say, update that list. In this case, let me say um, updated names equals square brackets name for name in list. Now, name for name in list. Now, I know the list is called names. If I look at this list, I'm just transferring all the items in names into updated names. So in order to uppercase them, I'm just going to say dot capitalize. Capitalize is a method which is used to convert the first letters of the names to uppercase. So if I hit run this time, I'm going to have nothing printed out because I didn't give the command for the print to actually execute. So now let's say print updated names, and now let me hit run. I'm going to have Daniel, Francis, Gabby, and KG updated with their first letters capitalized. On this note, we move on to dictionaries, comprehension in dictionaries. List comprehensions create lists, and dictionary comprehensions create dictionaries using the exact same idea. So this time, if I want to create a new dictionary, all I say is new dict equals curly braces. Now, I need key value pairs. So initially we would say expression, so we could say X for our expression. Now in our dictionary, we need key value pairs for our expression. So we could say something like X to the power 2. That is, my key is X and my value is X to the power 2. For X in a list, now I would say range, because range is an iterable, so I could use range of, let's say, 6. So that gives me numbers from 0 to 5. So if I hit run, I'm going to have a dictionary with 0 as a key and 0 as a value, 1 as a key and 1 as a value, 2 as a key and 4 as a value, 3 as a key and 9 as a value, and so on. That was because we said X should have been the key. What if we decide to give a condition? We don't want every number in our range to appear in our dictionary. So we can say maybe the x's that appear in our dictionary should be multiples of 2. So in that case, we are just going to say if x is a multiple of 2. Simple. So if I hit run this time, I'm just going to have 0, 2, 4, which is my keys being multiples of 2. So Python only adds items that satisfy the conditions we give. So if I give a simple condition as this, Python is going to add only the items that satisfy that condition. When should I use comprehensions? So comprehensions make your code shorter and easier to read. But don't force anything into one line. If the logic becomes too complex, I'll advise you to go the long way because it makes your code readable. But then for simple things like this, I'd advise you to save time and energy by using these comprehensions. So some common mistakes that users make, they forget the brackets or braces. So they may type everything out without the braces or brackets. Forgetting that it's the braces that qualify that comprehension as a dictionary comprehension and the brackets that qualify it as a list comprehension. You could also mix everything up, putting the conditions in front, putting the expressions behind. So take note of the syntax. Congratulations, you now know one of the features that make Python so elegant. You see comprehensions everywhere in data science, automation, machine learning, and web development. The more you practice them, the more natural they become for you. Thank you guys.
If this video helped you in any way, I'd really appreciate if you took a few seconds to subscribe to my channel. Every subscription motivates me to keep learning, improving, and making better content. Thank you for being here, and see you in the next one.